was there's no magic wand. And in that article, and this is also the basis of a lot of my writing, the difference is that you have to give up your ego, which some people say ego is edging God out. You have to give up your ego, and if you don't have an ego, you don't have to be right. So what I've found out is I'd rather be happy than right. And then you don't have the disagreements. Or if there's a conflict, we've come up with a win-win solution. If we're both, you don't have to compromise. You both can have what you want. You just work it out so you're both happy with what's going on.
Yeah. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people just don't do that.
Well, a lot of people haven't been taught it's possible because there's such poor communication, and with technology going on, there's even less interpersonal communication. And so to learn, that there are solutions to these situations, I love doing my counseling. I have a couple now I'm counseling right now, and they're going through changing how to handle these communication skills, how to be involved in a relationship when difficulties come up, and how do you work it out so that you can come through it on the other side, and then you're actually more connected than you were.
Yeah.
So you feel more vulnerable, but you're also happier and you're in sync with each other. You're more compatible. So, there are answers to these situations, but a lot of people are afraid to go with counseling or therapy or whatever you want to describe it as. There's different kinds. And a lot of people are afraid to get out of their comfort zone. So they just stay where they're at and stuck in their situation. And they complain, but they don't like it.
Well, I find a lot of conventional therapy, group therapy between man and their wife, when they go into a therapist, it actually, I've seen the results with some friends. It actually tore their marriage apart because they actually found out how much they didn't like each other.
Well, that can be the case, but the truth of the matter is your relationship is really with God. And if you have a good relationship with God, you can have a good relationship with anybody. If you don't like yourself, you're going to point your finger at somebody else and make them to blame. And the more you make them to blame is the more unhappy you are with yourself. So when you come to peace with yourself, what the other person's doing is not an issue. It's really blaming somebody else for your own problems you don't want to solve. You're going to go around and you're going to argue for your limitations and keep yourself unhappy.
Oh, I never thought about it that way. That's interesting.
Well, that's why I love helping people, because this is exactly what it's about. It's giving people a new way to see things that from a bigger picture of how the ramifications of what they're doing actually. See, if you don't forgive, that's a big thing in relationships. Forgive because you give up the past for a new today. It's happened. It's over. You can't change it. You can't repeat it. You can't do it over. So you give it up. That cuts you loose of those emotional binding to it. So you're not living in the past. So you move into living in what's current in your life right now. And when you can stay current, you're in a good space, loving yourself and loving those around you, and there's not the difficulties because everything falls together and comes out smoothly when you're in a loving environment. And if somebody's trying, like you mentioned, being a control freak, I had to learn how not to be a control freak. I mean, that's a huge one for, I think, most relationships. And so when you give up the control, you're going to have a lot better chance to work things out, because if you can talk it out and you can share your feelings, and you can't argue with feelings. So a person's feeling the way they're feeling, that's their essence. So you stick to the facts and you share your feelings and you talk it out, and you and you trust that they are actually trying to be, you build up a certain amount of trust. If you don't trust the person, that's really tough. And the more you work through these issues, you'll discover you do trust them because you both come out on the other end and you both survived and actually had a better result. So your trust level builds. So to talk about it, share your feelings, you've got to go through it to get better.
Oh, yeah, you sure do. I'm sorry about that. I have a dog. It's like it's part terrier, part poodle. It's 20 years old.
Oh, that's cute.
Well, the vet wanted to put him down about a month ago, and he has to be with me, or he whines. So everywhere I go, he's right there with me, and sometimes he gets whiny, and it seems like it only is when I go on the air. The rest of the day, he's totally quiet, so I can't figure that one out.
He wants your attention too.
Yeah, he does. You mentioned you do hypnosis. What all else do you do? And you mentioned you were a medium too?
Right, yeah, I've done exorcisms. Medium and a psychic are not really the same, and people misunderstand the two. A psychic connects with the other side, the invisible, when people passed over at a third and fourth dimension level of vibration. So if somebody's passed over like Uncle Joe, and you want to talk to Uncle Joe, or you want to tell him you love him or you miss him or ask for forgiveness or make an apology, whatever. I've had some marvelous experiences helping people with that. And then as I grew, in fact, I have some interesting stories about that. And then as I grew spiritually with more meditation, I rose into the fifth dimension and higher of connecting with a higher vibration where we have masters like Saint Germain, maybe you haven't heard of Katumi, but the masters like Confucius, or there's a lot of masters. Jesus was a master, actually. I can connect with Mother Mary and Archangel. I connect with archangels. Like Archangel Michael is with me almost all the time now. I have half a dozen angels with me all the time. Archangel Michael's one of them, and several other angels that help me with my counseling. Archangel Raphael, Archangel Gabriel. So it's St. John is a lot of who I do channeling, which is on YouTube. I have 133 YouTube videos, and I channel from the other side, called Higher Realms. Channeling from higher realms, and St. John is usually the one that comes in and gives this kind of spiritual information for people to help their spiritual growth. And I hope to put those channelings into a book, because they're tools like I've been explaining, but they've been coming through me to help others resolve their relationship problems, resolve their issues in their life that are causing difficulty, because we were meant to come here and enjoy this beautiful planet. And we're so hung up and distracted in third dimension with all the difficulties, government and finances and all the other families and whatever, that we don't have a chance to move ourselves into a higher place of love and unconditional love with those around us. So the channelings bring a lot of wisdom that has not been necessarily widely understood or heard before. So I'm hoping to get those into a book shortly. My other books are basically about your own spiritual growth, and so they all work together. If each one has a little different message, a little different helping for people to grow spiritually into this better place where we can actually feel like we've grown up. The planet literally is. The energy's changed, and the planet literally is moving into supporting our being a mature person, which means that we have left our childish resentments behind, and we've left our fears behind, and our guilt, shame, and all our jealousy, envy, 7 deadly sins, and we've grown into being an adult. And so we're all going through this huge change, and things are coming up for people to either address or they'll have to come back. I know there's reincarnation because I've had many, many lives, but we come back until we get it right. And that's how I got into being a psychic and a medium. My aunt came back to me one day. It was like a vision. And she had committed suicide, and she was the only person in my family that treated me nicely, and I was really shook up when she did that. And her husband had died of cancer 2 years earlier, and he in spirit was calling her to join him. And she finally broke down and did. So I was very concerned and upset. And she came back and told me, there's no hell, but she will have to come back and relive that life again and resolve the issues she came to resolve that didn't get taken care of because she left early. So, there's many ways that we can still work on this. It doesn't have to be this lifetime. We've been working, most of us, I've had 650 lives. Some people have had over 1,000 lives. And if you don't want to work on it this lifetime, you get to come back and work on it some more next time. It's just like going to school. If you don't pass second grade, you stay in second grade.
Oh, wow. And some people, what I heard, that, when they come back, reincarnate, that they can actually go worse and then, improve, too. Have you run across that?
Well, this is we're all here to grow up, to outgrow that fear. Fear, some people say, fear is false emotions appearing real. And they're like a blanket that covers up the light in our lives. We have light. We are creatures of light inside, light and love. God is light and love inside of us. And that fear is like a black blanket. And we have to, at some point, be so upset with our lives. Most people call it a bottom. If you're in addiction, they say, well, you got to hit bottom before you're ready to change. And to poke holes in that blanket and come through and start letting the light come in and change yourself. And let that light be who you truly are, which is the way we were created to be. We're just now returning. Biblically, it's called the prodigal son is returning home. But when you're ready to return home, you can turn it around. And that's the kind of help I give people.
Oh, wow. Do you get a lot of people, approaching you about this?
Well, I can always use more clients. I keep very busy. Between my many hats, I do writing. And so I also do counseling. We actually give free healings here in Milton, Washington every Thursday afternoon. My boyfriend's a terrific healer. And the two of us make a pair because, I'm into holistic health, and he deals with the energy changing necessary for healthiness. And I bring in St. John, and he gives the person past life information of where this is coming from and current emotional places where this is coming from, so they understand what they're changing, and he helps them do that. So I have, between learning how to, I also give tarot readings, and I do artwork. I can see angels. I've been saved by angels 12 times, and I see them. And I paint pictures of people's angels if people are interested in a portrait of their angel. I love doing that. I have a great-grandson. I love painting his portraits lately because he's getting older, growing up. He's really from a baby all the way. I've got a whole series of him growing up, and other friends. And animals, I love to paint animals. So portraits. And so I have a very busy schedule. So I do, fortunately, it's a flexible schedule. So I can take more clients if people are interested in counseling. I'm available. I'm in Edgewood, Washington. Have a website called Angelica's Gifts, and you can Google me. I also have a blog, and I also have lots of YouTubes. If people are curious, some of the information is on YouTubes, and of course my books are at Amazon.
Okay.
And I'm going to be on the radio starting March 6th.
Okay.
And it's called, the radio show is Love Never Fails. It's going to be a call-in talk radio show Tuesday afternoons at 3 o'clock on BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Oh, wow.
And so you go to bbmglobalnetwork.com, and you can click on, and I've got a phone number I'll be putting out on Facebook and my blog. And you can call in with your questions. And I cover a large range of topics, so I love talking about, health and relationships and angels or whatever people, empowerment, self-esteem, whatever addictions there. I also am a retired teacher, so I have a lot of understanding of what's wrong with the educational system.
Oh, wow. Hey, I got people texting me already asking, what do angels look like?
That's a really good question. Because we are physical beings and we don't understand something invisible, angels are really an invisible energy, and people have put wings on them. That's how we interpret angels. Actually, they can actually manifest as a person, too. I've had that happen in my life, and so has my boyfriend. But it's higher energy that comes to help us. In my case, keep me alive. In his case, that kept him alive. He was in a truck in Italy on railroad tracks, and he knew he was going to be killed by the train. He was stuck on the track and get the truck off the track.